Listen, this is Ben Falcon from Ben Falcon's Media Corner. This may be my last will I have ever had to do in my life because there's someone who's trying to break into my bedroom. Can you hear that? Oh shit, I think he's coming. I gotta go.
Hello there.
What's up, everyone? This is Ben Falcon's Media Corner back again with a brand new AK After Our Soul review episode for today. This one's going to be on a film that just came out last year in 2021, which this was already released back in the US in October of last year in the US on Paramount Plus, and this is not a theatrical release film because this was released at home, like I've already mentioned, Paramount Plus. But I ended up watching this at home today on YouTube in the UK. And as you guys didn't tell from the skit, I am reviewing a horror film. So this is a 2021 horror film, and this is the 7th entry to this franchise that began since 2009, and that is Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin. So this is the 7th entry to this franchise, and this comes to us from the director of Underwater, which was released back in 2020, which I really enjoyed. Underwater, I thought that was a pretty good movie with Kristen Stewart, and I do really recommend you check it out because it is pretty good. So now he's directing a new entry to the Paranormal Activity franchise, in which in this film we follow a group of documentary filmmakers who go to this old folk farm of sorts, in which they're trying to make a documentary there. But however, they get caught up in a bunch of bizarre, creepy stuff that's going on in this whole place, and they soon start to learn some dark secrets about this whole farm as well as the town itself. And of course, we have to see them, trying to basically escape this whole situation they're facing. So that's pretty much the simple story, really, of Next of Kin. So for this new entry to the Paranormal Activity films, well, before we get into that, for the other Paranormal Activity films, like the first movie, which I have seen that film quite a few times, and I do really like the film. It's a pretty good found footage horror film. I wouldn't say it's a great film or anything, but it is a pretty good watch. And I do like that, along with other found footage horror films that I like Cloverfield and The Blair Witch Project. But when it comes to the sequels, however, some sequels are pretty much being divisive with some audiences and some critics. While the last two Paranormal Activity films that we got, the Marked Ones and the Ghost Dimension, those I heard were considered terrible to the franchise. And I didn't even know that we were going to get a new entry to this franchise with this one, because I thought this franchise was done after the last one that a lot of people really did not like. So I didn't know what to expect from this new one, and I didn't even know much of any of the stars in this film, and I didn't even know this was from the director of Underwater until I did a bit of research before watching the film. And just like I said, I do really recommend Underwater because that is a pretty good sci-fi horror film with Kristen Stewart and Vincent Cassel and T.J. Miller, because that's a pretty good movie. I went to see that in cinemas back in 2020. But anyway, from all that, so I watched this today on YouTube at home in the UK. And while this was already released back on Paramount Plus in the US back in October, my friends have already reviewed it. And after watching this today, I do really tend to agree with my friends have already said about this movie, because this movie just really wasn't that good overall. Yeah, this is definitely not another good entry to this franchise, alongside the Ghost Dimension, which I still think is the worst in the franchise. But I don't know where I would put this on my list if I was ranking the whole franchise. But this movie is just mostly focused on jump scares in this film, which none of them were even that scary, and most of them were just cliche, because it's where the music starts to build up, slowly builds up, as well as the tension as well slowly builds up, and then just boom, something creepy or disturbing appears on screen right in front of your eyes. It's just mostly focused on that, which none of them were even that scary, and it didn't even make me jump out of my skin or anything while I was watching this. And the story in the film, well, the concept is pretty basic, really, for being an old-fashioned, trying to be a cult horror film, say Midsummer, which that's a pretty good movie from 2019, although it's kind of pretty much a bit divisive for some people. And as well as The Wicker Man, the original, not the 2006 remake with Nicolas Cage. No. But yeah, the concept in this film is pretty basic, really. And The scenes outside where it doesn't involve jump scares felt pretty boring. Like when we do see some characters in the film of what they're trying to do, from trying to escape the farm, which they weren't even that interesting. And there are some awkward moments outside of all that when we do see what the characters are trying to do while trying to escape the farm as well as learn facts about the farm. Some scenes are a bit awkward, while a few just played out boring. And even the characters themselves, I didn't find them really compelling whatsoever. And I couldn't find any memorable character whatsoever while I was watching this. And the direction as well in this movie, I kind of found it really oddly distracting for myself because it's directed in two separate ways. Like it's set in a found footage style, like the other entries in the franchise, but it's also directed in regular direction as well, outside of found footage form, which I kind of found that oddly distracting for myself because I thought the whole film would be in found footage style, like the other films did, like the other entries did in the franchise. But no, it's directed in two separate ways, which I kind of found that odd and a bit distracting for myself because I kind of wish the whole thing would have been in found footage form, just like the other movies in the franchise. And there's just nothing really else to say, and there's nothing good I can find about this movie other than this one just really wasn't a good entry to the franchise. And I wouldn't say this is my least favorite in the franchise, like the Ghost Dimension, because I still think that is the worst. But if you are willing to watch this one, if you're curious to watch this one, if you're a fan of this franchise, or if you're a fan of like found footage horror films, I don't know what ways to recommend it other than it is available to rent on any app of your choice, like YouTube or anything like that. And or if in the US it is available to watch on the Paramount Plus because this is a Paramount Plus exclusive. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. And as you guys might have guessed, the rating, if you don't, here it goes. I'm going to give Paranormal Activity Next of Kin a half out of 5. Yeah, like I said, this is definitely not a good entry to the franchise, but I wouldn't say this is the absolute worst in the franchise, like the Ghost Dimension, which I still think is the worst. And I would give that film the same rating, but like this, but again, I just don't know why I would put this one since this one really wasn't that good of a film, and this definitely isn't one of my favorite horror films or anything. Since I do love horror, this will definitely be one of my least favorite horror films of last year, and this again will be in my worst of the year list. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After Our Soul review on Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, and let me know what you think of this film if you have seen this already, or if you've just recently seen it. Did you have a pretty good time of it, or were you massively disappointed with this one if you're a fan of this franchise? Just thank you again, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more reviews, and as always, this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.